in Buenos Aires in about less than 3 weeks' time here. I am Lee Ellis. This is the Basketball Passport Pod, and I'm joined, as always, by the Lakers insider and somewhat disgruntled fan right now, Anthony Owen. How you doing, man? How you hanging in
I,
there?
I think I'm like perpetually disgruntled.
Right.
It's really like it's pretty rare that I'm gruntled.
What about the 41-point loss there last night? Is that
Very disgruntled.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
it was it's crazy that the Lakers got their butts kicked by Minnesota and then promptly was like, you know what? It can get worse, everybody.
Oh, and it might get even worse because you know who's next on their schedule?
The the Lord's favorite, the Atlanta Hawks.
The red hot Atlanta Hawks, winners of 5 straight, went into
Oh,
Milwaukee last night and crushed the Bucks, who I think had won 7 straight. This is the same team that, of course, beat the Cavs twice in 3 days, beat the Pelicans here on Monday night. There's no need to get too excited about that. But Lakers up next, then the Nuggets for the Hawks, and then they got the Cup back in New York City against the Knicks. So think that, hey, the Hawks are flying right now. I really can't be stopped. And I tell you, it's a lot of fun to be around a team that is is winning, of course, and having some success, but also they're really fun to watch play. I mean, for me, I'm really enjoying watching right now. Obviously, Risa Shea, the rookie, started to play really well, but Jalen Johnson, I don't know if you've been, how much you've followed of him, but man, he's on a heater right now.
he's a stud. The Hawks might have some of the most one of the most exciting collection of young wings in the league. And, given the way that basketball is played nowadays in the NBA, that's really important. Your wing collection, I always say, for the most part, you could go back, and find, all right, which team had the best wing in any given series. And almost always, there are obviously exceptions that I think prove the rule. But whatever team tends to get or gets the best wing play tends to win series in the modern NBA. And with Johnson, with Risa Shea playing the way that he is, even Hunter is looking to turn a corner as well in his own way if he can just stay healthy. That is a really fun group there, and that's what you have to do to surround Trae Young with like the defenders and athleticism and size on the perimeter that he needs. It's a fun group there in Atlanta.
Yeah, and I made the reference the other day on one of the socials. I think it was on Threads. Jalen Johnson's got a real Scottie Pippen vibe to his game. You know, he's a big guy, he's 6'9". He can put the ball on the floor. He can drive inside. He can defend. He needs still to improve his defensive awareness, but he can hit that three-pointer. And most importantly, I think this is what's really key here for Quinn Snyder is he can actually handle some possessions offensively, so Trey's not doing all of it. You know, Trey's not shooting the ball all that well right now. And obviously, as the leader of the team, Trey, is sort of taking almost a little bit of a back seat right now to allowing this democratic offense where you're getting everyone contributing, especially the bench, Bogdanovic or Okongwu off the bench, and DeAndre Hunter, you mentioned, he started the season in the starting lineup as to be expected, but he missed some time there. He was away from the team dealing with the birth of his daughter, and he was also injured. And in that time, Risa Shea took his starting lineup spot. And when he came back, Quinn Snyder just has stuck with DeAndre Hunter, and Hunter's averaging 17 points a game off the bench, shooting really, really well. So, accidentally they've found a really good system that works here, a solid starting lineup, and then going, 3-4 deep, really solid players off the bench. Kobe Buffkin's also back. He's their backup point guard to Trae Young and playing really well too. So Hawks Lakers tomorrow night. I mean, this is season defining stuff here, man. I mean,
Stuff of legends.
yeah,
This is
yeah.
where legends are made. Is in a December 6th basketball game between the Atlanta Hawks and struggling Los Angeles Lakers.
Well, yeah. So anyway, if you do want to get in touch with us, hit up the basketballpassportpod@gmail.com. That is the email address. We're a little light right now for mailbag questions. So if you've got any, feel free and we will get to them. So I mentioned off the top, I'm going to be in Argentina on the 26th of December until the 29th, playing a couple of games there and got a couple of other fun activities. But if you are in Argentina or you know someone who's going to be in Buenos Aires on December 27, I'll be at the La Copita basket court. They're the one I showed off the top there, the Manu court, from around 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Got some really cool prizes and giveaways there. So if you're in Argentina, you want to hear more, hit me up. Let me know, because it's going to be a fun night and afternoon of hoops. And then I've got something else that I'm working on as well the next day in Buenos Aires. So any of our Argentine listeners, hit us up. Let us know if you're going to be there. First topic I wanted to get to today was a new one that the NBA announced this month. I didn't even know they were doing this. I don't know if you did or not. But in addition to NBA Player of the Month for each conference, they've come up with NBA Defensive Player of the Month too, which is good. And it's the first time it's been awarded. And for the Basketball Podcast Show, it's fantastic because we've got two international players there, Victor Wembanyama from the San Antonio Spurs and Dyson Daniels. No surprise there. The Dice got the Eastern Conference award for the Defensive Player of the Month. He's averaging 3 steals a game, leading the league in that category, also in deflections. And then there is Victor, who is leading the league in blocks and ranked 8th in deflections there and fourth, only 4th in contested shots at 10.1 per game. I sort of felt that he would be won by a mile in that category. But anyway, what do you think of this new award? I like it myself.
I like that we're celebrating defense more. I remember when Michael Cooper was inducted into the Hall of Fame, there was this big debate, not just with national and international basketball fans, NBA fans, but even like Lakers fans were like, well, but does he really, should he get his jersey retired? Does he, now that he's gonna, now that he's in the Hall of Fame, because that's like a requirement there for the Lakers. And it was like, this shouldn't even be a debate. Like, he was a crucial member of a dynastic team that they wouldn't have done all of the things that they did without Michael Cooper and Michael Cooper specifically, because of the guys that he was defending on a night in, night out basis. Magic Johnson didn't like playing defense at all. So like Coop needed to get out there and defend. And like, I thought that I think that the league getting out there and celebrating defense more sets a good precedent here moving forward, that yes, we're going to value that in all of our awards here moving forward.
Yeah, well, and that's really the, why I wanted to add it in, because it was new. There was 2 foreign guys who have won it. But also, when it comes to most improved player, do you think it's never, ever, ever gone to anyone for their defensive improvement ever? It's always a guy who goes from, maybe 8 points a game to 22 points a game, a guy who breaks out. I think Tyrese Maxey won it last season, great player. He did improve a lot. But do you think there's any way, someone like Dyson Daniels, because I don't think Wembanyama is going to win most improved this year. It's almost like, well, you can't really give it to him. But someone like Dyson, who's obviously clearly gotten a huge change in role, a lot more minutes, having the huge defensive impact. His offense has improved, but not to the point where he's going to average 20 a game. And it feels to me like you just have to average 20 a game to really get recognition for most improved. So do you think this could be something that, like, let's say Dyson Daniels wins it for every month? Now, he probably won't, but let's say he does. Do you think that could put him into the conversation for like most improved player if he has that much of a success on the defensive end?
In an ideal world, yes. In the world that we live in, no.
Yeah.
It's hard to break so many years of voter tendency there. But what I will say though is that, like, again, the more that we focus on defense, as part of these discussions for most valuable player and best players in the league, and now that there's a whole new award dedicated to acknowledging defense, kind of laughed at the Wemby stat that you pointed out, the shots.
Contested.
Contested shots. and he isn't running laps. You know why that is?
Well, yeah, because people,
teams are literally afraid to
yeah,
shoot around
yeah,
him. So like it's I think the more that we celebrate these things and the more that we acknowledge how valuable that side of the
yeah,
ball is, I think that the more that we can eventually get to a point where like maybe it's not Dyson Daniels specifically now, but maybe down the road that'll be more factored into some of these awards, like six man too, right? Like it always just goes to the player who gets the most buckets off of the bench.
yeah.
But if you have somebody who comes in and changes games defensively or with energy or with physicality, that's really valuable too. So I hope eventually we get to a point here where defense actually matters to these voters.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think people take it into account, but of course, it's just not the end that gets all the attention in the NBA. I mean, it's the most improved, and the six man is just like, oh man, that guy went from maybe double digit points, but he sort of vaulted into that 20-point per game category, and that just stands out more.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, this guy's clearly improved. Some of the other nominees for the Defensive Player of the Year were Kamara from Portland. This is in the West. Anthony Davis, Lou Dort, Chris Dunn. I'm not surprised to see Chris Dunn there. He's been really good for the Clippers. Tari Eason, another good defender. Armin Thompson from Houston. Draymond, Jaren Jackson. And then in the East, Bam, Giannis, Brook Lopez, OG, Evan Mobley, and Jalen Suggs. So, I'm actually really happy that they're also just announcing the other guys who were in it, because I think they're all really, really good defenders. OG is great fun to watch. So it's going to be interesting, though, to me, because, again, this one's going to be largely about a statistical note you can put in there, like Dyson leading the league in steals and deflections. It's sort of like, well, here, he's clearly having a defensive impact, in that same way. Because, again, I think a lot of guys, when they go into the paint, they see Wemby, they're like, well, just pass it out and someone can shoot it. There's no way to record that intimidation stat as an impact,
One way to record that.
Yeah.
Like we could just make a hole and it's a Wemby.
Yeah. And, I remember Zach Lowe writing about Kawhi Leonard in his prime when he used to play. Mm-hmm. And the same sort of thing where whenever he would pick up a defender, the ball would just move to the other side of the court, where the teams were just like, if Kawhi's defending, then just don't give the ball to that player. Because remember, prime Kawhi was so much fun to watch, where he would just literally just poke his fingers in there, those gigantically long fingers, and steal the ball away and, create defense. But he hasn't played at all for so long, it feels like. Right now.
Well, it reminds me of in football, back with like the Seahawks, they had a guy, Richard Sherman, who was a lockdown corner who just stayed on one side of the field. Some corners follow the best receiver all over the field and just focus on locking down the one receiver. There's obviously value there too. But like with Sherman, he would just stay on the one side of the field, and it basically made an already great defensive team that the Seahawks had, the Legion of Boom. They basically they had to guard like a smaller chunk of the field because quarterbacks didn't throw at Sherman. And I think if you bring that over to basketball here, where Wemby and I think all of the best defenders at their best, right? Gobert is like this. Anthony Davis, when he has his head on right, is like this. When you have centers who can close off the paint, most valuable territory on a basketball court, and teams are unwilling to go in there and challenge that shot blocker, that wreaks absolute havoc on what a team can do offensively. I saw it in person when I went down and watched the Lakers play the Spurs down here. And for large chunks of the game, I leaned over to the guy who was sitting next to me, covering it for the Spurs. And I was like, the Lakers aren't getting into the paint. Like they just aren't. They aren't even trying to get into the paint. They were going like paint adjacent to try to collapse the defense and create a shot or whatever, but they weren't getting into the paint. And it was something to behold, watching Victor Wembanyama get LeBron James and Anthony Davis to just like not really try to get to the rim anymore. It was wild.
Ah, man, you can see he can just reach out as well. It doesn't matter where he is, but in that painted area, it feels like he's never out of it in a contest. And that is what's amazing. And that's why, I mean, I know within Australia, a lot of people are talking right now that Dyson might win Defensive Player of the Year. But I think this is a virtual lock for Wembanyama because he's going to have just so many more sort of highlights and attention, and just the impact that he's going to have. And Dyson's getting up there with some blocks as well again. But it feels like this one's just going to be handed to Victor for the next, I mean, honestly, for the next 10 years maybe, because he's going to just get better and better. And if he gets, if that team continues to improve around him, it's going to look crazy just to see how many guys don't go in. And he can, he's quick enough and he's young enough right now that he can even get out onto the perimeter too. So,
insane. He'll do this thing where a player will get a step on him and reach out to get to the rim, shoot that layup, thinking like, all right, I got by Wemby.
Yeah.
And then Wemby will just reach over the top of players and knock the ball away. And it's funny to watch NBA players be like, what the, where did
yeah.
It is so fun. It's so fun to watch this guy out here. It's wild. And again, like I think this Defensive Player of the Month thing, and the more that, especially with it being Wemby and him probably being the face of the league here for know him and Anthony Edwards here moving forward, Wemby making that impact on defense, I think, is going to be good for the league's perception. In that, like, so many people say, oh well, the guys in the NBA don't defend. You want to watch real defense, watch college, when really like those players just suck on offense. But like if Wemby is gonna rip off like 6 or 7 Defensive Player of the Year awards, and also be maybe the best player in the league here moving forward, then that I think will bode well for a league that is kind of considered a little bit soft by fans who want to call them soft anyway.
Well, that's right. I mean, that narrative is virtually impossible to shake too, because that clip that went around last night of the Lakers, for example, I think it ended in a Tyler Hero 3. I mean, those are the sorts of that's that clickbait of like, yeah, that happened. It was terrible. There's no question that was terrible, but that doesn't mean that's how it was for the entire game.
It's 27th ranked defense.
Yeah, but also the game was over at that point. That's not like a game-winning play. So it's very easy to just sort of clip something and say, look, no one plays defense in the NBA. But again, being at so many games and being around the team that I have been this season, it's a lot more physical in person than it does come across on TV. It just is.
Absolutely.
And guys going into the paint and getting hit, and going around screens and getting hit, and you can hear it and you can feel it, and you can sort of, you really know that if you were to hold a microscope over so many more possessions, you would see just how tough screens are that are being set and guys out there contesting. But that doesn't get you click, that doesn't go viral. What you want is like an obvious, just completely lazy play by the Lakers, which it was. But that's the one that gets sort of shared around and stuff. So, but anyway, I'm glad. I didn't even know this was an award. I don't remember them announcing it. Yeah, because when I first saw it, I saw Player of the Month, Eastern Conference, and I'm like, I mean, he was good. I didn't think Dyson was Player of the Month. I mean, I would thought the Cavs easy. I thought Donovan or Darius Garland or someone like that. And then I looked into it a little more and I saw the defensive stats on there, and then it said Defensive Player of the Month. And I'm like, okay, well, that makes a little more sense here. I mean, you want to be proud, obviously, for an Australian out there doing well. But even I was like, I don't think he was Player of the Month for a team that was at the time.
Like Australian Player of the Month.
Yeah, yeah. I think at the time the Hawks were 2 games below 500 and out of the play-in, and I'm like, oh, that's unusual. But anyway, so he's got it. Great to see Dyson. And the other last thing on this, Bogdan Bogdanovic was asked about it, and he said, Dyson defending the way he has really lifted the defensive intensity of all the team. So other players are like, hey, look what Dyson's doing. We've got to do the same sort of thing. And so that sort of influence on other players is, I think, just huge as well, because, you mentioned the guys like Jalen Johnson, DeAndre Hunter, Risa Shea, Bogdanovic. They're all around about the same height, around about the same size. Can defend the wing, but they all needed to improve. And Dyson's almost like sort of that his defensive prowess has rubbed off on those guys. So it's good. You'll be watching the Lakers Hawks tomorrow night, I'm sure, won't you? Of course.
I don't know.
Yeah.
They're just no. I will.
Yeah.
I will. I honestly like the more that the Lakers get exposed by teams that do have culture, do have that relentlessness and that resolve. The more likely I think it is that the front office acknowledges that, all right, we need to make some tweaks here, and I think that's
Yeah.
best for everybody involved.
Yeah, I mean, tweaks are one thing, but the effort is the other thing, isn't it? It's like, you need to see it. Like I put it out this morning when Tyler Hero hit his 7th 3 in the quarter last night. There, Gabe Vincent going under a screen. Bam just stood there.
Yeah,
And Gabe Vincent goes under it. And, if you look at it again in the clip, it's like, well, he was only a split second behind. But for a shooter in the NBA, you may as well not even bother defending. Tyler just got it up and knocked it in there. But I want to go back even just a couple more weeks here. Do you think the Franz Wagner three-pointer, was that the catalyst for this sort of implosion we've seen over the last couple of weeks there from the Lakers?
it's hard not to acknowledge it at the very least. So here's some stats. This is from Kevin O'Connor of Yahoo. Anthony Davis, since missing clutch free throws versus Orlando on November 21st, he's averaging 18 points a game on 16.3 field goals attempted. He's shooting 42% from two and then 15% from three. Before that, he was averaging 31.3 points per game on 19.1 field goal attempts. So he's even shooting fewer attempts per game. He's been like noticeably less aggressive. 59% from two, 43% from three before he missed those free throws. The entirety of the Lakers, like you go through their games played since, they got their butts kicked by Phoenix. They got their butts kicked by Orlando or by Denver. So I'm gonna go find it. All right. So yeah. So the Orlando game, they lost 119-118. Then they lost 127-102 to Denver. Then they lost 127-100 to Phoenix. They beat San Antonio handily on the second night of a back-to-back. They were well rested. Nobody played in the second half of that game against Phoenix. And then fairly competitive against OKC. Should have probably lost to Utah. Got their butts kicked by Minnesota. Got their butts kicked by Miami last night to the tune of 41 points. Like it's hard not to like note the trend there,
Yeah.
And you watch these games and their effort level is just in the basement. As soon as a team goes on a run, they just look at each other like they're allowed to do that, like that.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's maybe setting in that Darvin Ham wasn't the only problem. We did get news recently that Jared Vanderbilt won't play again in 2024. And they're hoping to have him at the beginning of 2025 in January. Maybe there's some psychological effect there that they're not going to have a key part of their rotation still now for going on 11 months. I whatever it is, I think that Franz, because the Lakers were playing good basketball before that. They were beating Orlando for the vast majority of that game until that stretch there where everybody forgot how to make free throws. I think collectively, if you look at their free throw numbers per game since that Franz one, their free throw shooting has actually gotten worse. So I don't know if it's like collective yips. Whatever it is, I think Franz might have broken the Lakers.
Well, Stu Lance and Bill McDonald on the call, I remember, were like, AD's got to hit one. He's got to hit one here. And he couldn't. And they were almost like, it's going to Franz. Franz is going to take it. And I mean, it was still a great shot. It was a bomb. I think it was over Davis too. Like Davis was in the vicinity there. But Franz was hot in that last quarter. I mean, Franz is a good player. He's going to be an all-star, I think, this year, especially because Banchero has been out for so long. Obviously didn't play in that Lakers game there, and they haven't missed a beat. The Orlando Magic are looking really, really good right now. Yeah. So Franz might be the Laker killer. Maybe that's
might literally be. I'll say this about Anthony Davis. He takes mistakes very, very hard.
Yes.
If he makes a mistake on defense, he really eats himself up over it. He's a very competitive guy. He cares deeply about basketball. he might almost care a little too much in some points, because everybody makes mistakes. You're surrounded by D'Angelo Russell, Dalton Connect, Austin Reeves, a LeBron James who's basically a designated hitter at this point. Mistakes are going to be made on the defensive side, and it's really eating up AD at this point. And then, in the years prior, he wasn't shooting threes at all, because as soon as he missed one, he was like, nope, don't have it tonight. Not going to shoot. And I really think that missing those free throws like affected him in a way that has changed his approach to the game, and it's put him in this funk. And I think he's got to snap out of it and recognize the fact that like everybody misses free throws, everybody misses late game shots, it happens to everybody. You got to snap out of it. The Lakers cannot be a competitive basketball game without Anthony Davis being the destroyer of worlds he's capable of being.
Yeah.
He was on both sides of the ball earlier this year.
Yeah, which is weird because, it's easy to sort of point maybe that the Olympics had an impact on him from, maybe there's some fatigue there, but he started out so hot that it's like you can't really now, connect the dot back and say, well, he's tired. I mean, again, same with LeBron, the shooting. They had a big summer there, but they had enough time to rest and recover and got off to a good start. But also JJ, remember, said he wants him shooting more threes, but you wonder if now he's like, all right, we have to dial that back in because it's just not working, and
it's the craziest thing. He was knocking him down. He looked confident shooting him. I saw him again here in San Antonio, and and he, like when he was going up to shoot, it was like, oh, that's going in. Like there was it used to be kind of like wince, and he's like, come on, please, and we're back to that now. I don't know what may have happened there. And he actually called himself out after last night's game, saying that like, if I play better, other guys will play better. This one's on me. And kudos to AD for that. But it's also like, all right, now you got to do the really important part here and actually play better.
Yeah.
My last thing is on the Lakers. I wrote this for Clutch Points, my latest for Clutch Points. And I think that this core, I'm not gonna excuse it. I think this is a potential explanation for the kind of drag that they're finding themselves in right now. They're getting close to trade season again. All of them are going to be, potential trade targets or trade pieces that can go out and all of that stuff too. But also, really importantly, they have gone through multiple transaction windows in which Rob Pelinka has chosen not to improve the team. And what that indicates to me is that the front office doesn't believe in this core as one worthy of investing more draft capital into. And if you're a player and you don't feel like you are supported by your front office, that's a really difficult situation to try to thrive in. And it'll be really interesting to see if something gets done to this roster, because something needs to be done in the short term, just to kind of like get everybody out of the morose that they've kind of find themselves in.
Yeah, well, I'll try to speak to JJ tomorrow morning and shoot around. So if you got anything you want me to ask him, man, just let me know and I'll say this one's courtesy of Anthony. He wants to know. He wants some answers here.
He'll be
JJ.
like, oh, that mother bleeper.
Yeah. Well, time to move on to our destination for this week, and it's one I have been to before, but I'm coming back to because it's the beautiful Pigalle Duperré Court in Paris. One of the most colorful, one of the most viral, one of the most beautiful on social media. And it was recently given a facelift by the same team behind the previous 4 or 5 variations there. Stefan Ashpool and the Il Studio group worked there to make this one beautiful and colorful again. I'm not sure exactly if they have a sort of schedule or if they just do it every couple of years or when they feel like it, but they just did such a fantastic job. And I obviously wasn't there for it myself, but this was shot by my friend Louis Allen, who took the drone there. I don't think you're supposed to take the drones there, but he got there kind of early on a cold Sunday morning and before there was any players there, as you can see. And he just went and shot it and did an incredible job there. This is just one of my favorite courts. Like, it's not a great court to play on. It's just too thin. It's too small. It's too tight. But this is what I love about street basketball and basketball around the world is you can still, within that, short area there, create a court and then bring some life to it, bring some color to it, bring some character and personality to it. And it just, to me, like looking at those images again, don't you just want to go and shoot some hoops on a court like that?
All right, I have so do they play actual basketball here? Because
Well, not organized stuff. But if you turn up, like when I played there last year, I mean, you can run. It's just not. It's not great because it's so tight on the side. So there's not like you can sort of get out and have too many fast
there's
breaks.
no like
And
3-point line.
well, see if you look on there, right? See the numbers. See the numbers, right? You see the number 3 there, right? So if you
so it's just like a flat line.
yeah, so if you're in that area, it's basically a 3, and then it's 2 in that area. See what I mean?
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. But
All right,
again,
that
it's
makes total sense.
it's pickup ball, so you sort of make up the rules as you please there. But
Yeah.
one of the things I try to do, of course, is I'm always trying to create my own content from my experiences, and I wasn't in Paris. But when I saw they had renovated it, I contacted my friend Louis, who was at the run there I had. And I said, man, just see if you can go and get some shots, and I'll put together a little feature. And I did. And Stefan Ashbull, again, the designer, the artist behind it, he liked it, and he said thank you to my video. So that was really cool to get that recognition, because he's a fantastic artist. He's done so many great things, particularly at that court. Every time they have a court there in Pigalle, and they have a new colorway, I think they all look fantastic. So he puts a lot of thought, he puts a lot of effort into it. And again, it's one of those things where if you're on vacation in Paris and you're walking down this street and you see the court, how could you not just go there and say, right, I'm shooting some hoops, man, I'm having some fun. And what I also loved is they got nice new fresh rims and nets, because the only problem here is that sometimes I've seen it on other social media's accounts, is they don't have the nets, and they don't have they have rims there, but they get torn off, whatever. They put in really good quality ones there because they want to make it appealing. So don't steal the nets, people. Can we just play and enjoy there? But excuse me. But yeah, so the Paris game is coming up in about a month or so, I think it is, or it's actually a bit longer than about the 20th, I think, when the Spurs and the Pacers are there for a couple of games. So that court is going to pop off again. Everyone who goes over there is going to be shooting and getting their getting their social media shots in, and fair play to them as well, because it's a beautiful court.
Yeah, that is, I was a little snarky with like the numbers and whether it's a 2 or a 3 there, but it is like legitimately a beautiful court. It's a cool setting. It's completely unique. And like, I think really importantly, like the cool thing about basketball is that all you need is a hoop and a ball, and you could stick a hoop basically anywhere, and you could bring a ball from anywhere. And if enough people see you playing there and having a good time, like the court's going to work.
Yeah.
And like I grew up playing on my parents, I lived in a cul-de-sac, and the street was like super not for irrigation purposes, right?
Right.
The street was not level at all,
Right.
so like the further out you shot, you didn't have to shoot it as high, and but like it didn't matter. Like we all the kids that I grew up in my neighborhood with, or if kids came over to hang out, we would go out there and play. We would lower the basket too, and you would dunk on everybody as well. Like it doesn't matter. The cool thing about basketball, soccer's kind of like this too, right? Where if you have a trash can and a soccer ball, you can get a pickup soccer game going. It's just it's such a great sport because and it also is a very artistic sport, much like again soccer, that inspires these artists to want to paint the basketball court.
Yeah.
I would hope maybe that in the NBA there's a little less inspiration for these in-season tournament courts. But like for this court specifically, though, it's a given that that's kind of the purpose of the court. It's really cool look.
Yeah, and this is what Ashpool describes the pattern and the colorway there. He says the linear optical pattern composition of the court symbolizes life's diversity of cultures, ideas, and individuals blending into a universal language of inclusion and unity. And that's right. I mean, I do think, and that's the thing is, like, you make a court like that so colorful and so pretty and so artistic. it does bring people to want to go and play there. And then you meet someone and you play with that person, you have some fun. My friend Louis, while he was there, met this Thailand person from Thailand, Kritsanen, who said he always goes back to Paris whenever it has a new colorway. And it was funny, Kritsanen, he sent me a video as well, throwing a few shots, and he calls himself the Thai Jokic. And so since then, I've started following him on Instagram, and he's got a lot of basketball highlights, and he's just like Jokic, you know, he's a little bit heavy there. He's got a nice, soft, feathery game. He talks a little smack. He loves playing up to the camera. So, you know, those are the stories again. And because when I was talking to Louis about it, he said, I was talking to this guy, and I said, did you get his name and, you know, anything? He said, yeah, I got it. So now, you know, again, we are friends, and it's amazing just how a court like that can just connect people, and you sort of feel that same passion and that same love for the game, even though these people have never met, but they're brought together by the court being what it is.
Yeah. That's sports, man. Like, that's what it's all about.
It is. And again, I think basketball is so unique like that, because I think soccer is the same, of course, but even still, like basketball, the court is a canvas. You know, it's a place where you can express yourself, and it's a place where you can, you know, add some real life to it. And I think that's what Stefan and Il Studio have done there. So fantastic job, everyone. I can't wait to see everyone who goes to Paris now for those games to go there and get their Instagrams there popping and showing it. Man, I wish I'd be going. Actually, I should be going. That'd be fun, but we'll see. Well, that does it for this Thursday edition of the Basketball Passport Pod. As mentioned earlier, if you want to contribute, send us an email to that easy email address there, basketballpassportpod@gmail.com. Anthony and I go live twice a week, Thursdays and Sunday night, where we talk a little more NBA stuff. And we will have had the Hawks and the Lakers by then. So, and if the Hawks have won 6 in a row by then, you know,
Sunday might be a fun show.
Yeah, Sunday might be a fun show. So, so we'll see. But you got any in-person games coming up?
In January, the Lakers play in Dallas. So I think that's January 5th. So I think I'll probably be going to that one. It's just like a couple hour drive from where I live. So I'll probably head out there for that one. And then, so long as the boss gives me the okay. I think, just, you know, it was fun doing it the time there in San Antonio. Unfortunately, the last time that they were there, when they went again, it was the night before Thanksgiving. Boss didn't give me the okay on that one.
No. But they're not playing the Rockets as well then, if they play the Mavs? They're not.
They might be doing like a Texas, you know, like a trip around Texas. So let's see. Yeah, they go so January 5th they're in Houston, and then their next game, the 7th, is in Dallas. So that might be tough to get her to okay doing both, but we'll see.
Yeah. Well, both Houston and Dallas are playing much better right now. Hot Rockets are really fun to watch.
Yeah.
So
do you think like if you wear like a brown paper bag on Credential Row, you'd stick out? Is that
just say it's for COVID reasons. Just say
right, yeah.
All right. Well, thanks everyone who has joined us, and we'll see you on Sunday night.